Ken, do you remember all our great memories from Disney World? Like Soarin'? Close your eyes. Ooh, we're soaring above everything. Ooh, Great Wall of China.
Hi, and welcome to Crafts by Two. I'm Ken.
And I'm George. Happy Scrapbook Day, Ken!
National Scrapbooking Day.
And today we have a scrapbook page that we did in honor of our Disney World trip and the ride Soarin'. We made a scrapbook page that you can use for when you went on Soarin', so you can have all your memories in one spot.
So George designed some really cool elements. You don't have to use this layout. You can arrange it however you want. This is just what George came up with for the photos he chose for our page.
Right. I have to still print out the photos.
Yeah, I know.
So we can put them on the page.
Uh-huh.
So we can remember stuff, like the Great Wall of China.
It was the one part that scared me because you kind of swooped forward and I thought we were going to fall.
At Disney, you thought it was going to fall.
I don't like heights.
Okay, I was the one scared.
Yeah.
But then on the ride, it was a lot of fun. And then Ken grabbed my hand because he was scared over Great Wall of China. So, Ken, why don't you show them how you put this page together? It's super simple.
Well, as long as you're given the parts in the right order.
Well, they'll have to watch the bloopers for that one.
Hi everybody, now I'm going to be putting together the scrapbook layout George came up with for Soarin', which is one of our favorite rides. We've actually never ridden it before until our last trip when we went the last couple times. The last time it was being refurbished, so it was closed, and other times we just never made it, even though we always wanted to because we heard so many great things. So we've ridden it. I'm sure we probably talked about fun stories. It's a lot of fun. So we're making a scrapbook page for Soarin', and George came up with some great graphics for it. So that's my little guide to work with. But all of these elements, you can do your own layout. This is a layout he came up with the photos he had in mind. You can do whatever you want with these elements for your own scrapbooking page. So I'm just putting this to the side, so I have that to refer to. And I'm probably not going to talk a ton through this later, when I'm just kind of putting the layout together. The thing that's going to take the longest is this awesome logo he came up with. So you can see here, I've got all these little parts, but he inked it up and gave this to me as the sample to put together for what he had in mind, because it was just easier to do it and test it out. So he popped it up, so I've got to remember to go grab some foam to pop up some of the elements. But it's just a really cool element to add to your Disney Soarin' scrapbook page. So I'm going to do this first, and then I'll put the rest together, so there'll probably be a fair bit of fast forwarding as I work through it. I'll talk about the inking technique with some of the first pieces, but then we're probably just going to kind of zoom along until I start putting it together. So there's the two background pieces, which we'll come back to. Then there's the large white element, which kind of fits the whole thing, so the layers support each other. Then the middle cloud. So that's just going to lay over, and all the pieces have the edges to support each other, so you're not going to have any dips or anything. Then this piece, and then a few other elements to support things like the O around the swoosh, and the S to pop that up a little bit so everything's on the same level, and the apostrophe to keep everything on the same level so you don't have any wobbly design elements. And the little airplane is over there, as is the asterisk with the other letters. So I'm taking a scrap piece of paper, and I'm using a Tim Holtz dauber, the pad, and this time I'm using Fun Stamper's Journey Lovely Blue, because that gives a really nice look. Just a hint of blue, but it darkens the edges. It looks really good. I don't know how well it shows up on the video, but it looks incredible. So we'll start with the bigger piece. And I just load up the dauber. Doesn't need a ton. And George's tip was to kind of stamp off your initial load and then just start buffing it on. And the reason you stamp off a little bit is that way you don't get any heavier ink that doesn't really match everything else. And I really didn't put much ink on this, so I'm just putting a little more on. And just swirling it along till it looks like it's gotten a good coverage. So that looks good, and it doesn't really need to do much else because the other areas are going to be covered. So I'll put that over to dry. We'll bring the second largest piece over. Oops, put down. This is the bumpers right now. So when you're bringing the color in, I know the instinct is to kind of try to stay the same distance from the edge, but with this swoosh, the color actually didn't touch just the edge of the clouds. So I brought it in a little more because if you look over here, the clouds, you kind of want to maintain an even color for the edges that you're going to see. So just bring it in a little bit around this element that's going to be covered up. And now this is the smaller cloud, so we want to go all the way around the outside for this one. And again, there's elements here to support the letters. Put it on the color so you can see. Maybe it's not too blown out. That might help. So there's elements to support the letters, but the edges of the clouds are here. So to make sure you're keeping an even color, you want to run it along kind of the cloud line while you're coloring it. So those are all inked. I'm just going to set this off to the side. And even that kind of makes its own nice little background with the different cloud layers and the buffering. So you might even want to keep that. It could be a little background or an element on a card. So let's start bringing this together. I need to grab some tape because I don't have that, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. And I've got some tape, and I have my Fisker's Duck Edition, which are always great for cutting tape and foam and things like that because they're non-stick. So you're not sitting there wrestling with them. It sticks a little bit, but not as hard. And I can't remember what brand tape this is, but it's a nice thin tape, which is good for popping up elements. You can cut off as much as you want. If George and I can remember where this is from, I'll make sure to put it in the description of the video and on our blog. So the first part is the background, and these are just glued together. And then I'm going to set this aside to dry, and to make it easier, because we pop up this element onto that background, it's easier to just put the whole white element together and then put it onto the background. That way you're not trying to push down and glue things together when you're working on popped up elements. So this layer is going to go right over and just everything lines up so it's really easy to put together. And the same thing here, everything notches together over here, so that gives you a really easy guide to line things up. So I was just trying to think how I wanted to tackle it next, and so probably the little apostrophe here, which I almost glued the wrong way. The little swoosh in, and the swoosh, it's a little hard to see, but it's got this little notch, which actually hooks on the A. Have the letters over here, so I'm going to glue the S together, and like I just had there, I'm not sure if you could see it easily, but I had one S turned the other way, so when I tried to line it up, it didn't quite line up. So I think it was more like that. Okay, maybe I'm just crazy, but it's lining up just fine now. I can't make it not line up. So I have the S. Gonna let that sit for a moment, and then we had this tip in the group video, but George saved the outline when these were cut out, because that way you can kind of use that as a guide for placement, which is a really awesome idea. So these little extra pieces for the O, this allows us to line these pieces up in place properly. So when we put that down, everything looks good. You don't have to figure out the alignment of the letters, you don't mess it up, everything just works out. So, just like I put the white on the back of the S, spelling so, I'm going to put the white on the back of the O next, just to make sure when I place it down, everything lines up with the edges. Just making sure everything's still in place. Before I push everything down, once again, just make sure it lines up. So while those dry, I'll start working on the other letters. Just be careful filling in the glue here because you have the opening with the R. And I think I did put that in upside down, that's why it wasn't fitting. So it's just a little thinner on the top. So there we go, that top element, and now I just have the little glider, which gets popped up just a little. So that's done, and this is dry. So now we will pop it up. Just kind of judging how George did it. So there we go, that's done. So George's test cut. And then the one he made for me to put together. He gave me a little bit of a flashier paper. He did regular cardstock for his, and then some kind of shiny vellum to use for the letters on our final one. So with that done, I'm now going to start to put together some of the other elements. So there's little photo pieces and these elements. And then we have the page and some clouds to spread around. So I'll move those over. This is the easier one to start with, for the little glider seats. These pieces, the yellow and the red, are designed to go flush. So they're totally flush to each other, and then when you put it on the white mat, that's when you have the outline around the whole piece. So when you're putting these together, make sure the red and the yellow are flush. Maybe I'm going to kind of lay things out first. George has these skewed just a little instead of a straight on mat. So I'm going to probably play around as I put it onto the paper. We'll just blow these clouds over. So that looks good, and then I can spread the little clouds around. So let me start gluing things in. And actually I'm going to hold off on gluing these little embellishments down with the photos because we want to put the photo on and then put that on top of it. So it's just going to sit there, ready to zoom off. So there you go. And George didn't get a chance to print out all of our photos yet, so we'll have a finished shot on our website. Maybe you'll catch it in the video when we record our opening. So I probably just put these down so they're all kind of shooting off in the same direction as the logo. I think it's a lot of fun. Hope you enjoy it. If you use it, post pictures. So there you go. It's pretty quick and easy. The Soarin logo was the most work, but it's the centerpiece of the page.
Yeah, I think it came out really, really well. And we used pearl paper for the red, so it's kind of shiny and reflective. It looks really nice. It'll look even better when we put photos on here.
Yeah.
So remember, you can cut out as many of these elements as you want and make any layout that you want. We came up with one layout, this layout, and we put that example in with the SVG file.
You can get a link to everything except the logo in our description and on our blog. We're saving the logo for our Patreon supporters because that took a little bit more work to put together and make the files come out really good. So if you support us on Patreon, this is part of our Patreon file library. And you can learn more about how to support us on Patreon in the description of the video and on our website.
Down there?
Yep.
So scrapbook pages are something that we're starting to do at least once a month. Ooh, I already have ideas for next month.
For now, it's probably going to be a lot of Disney because we have a lot of scrapbooking to do.
Yep. Ooh, like the Chippendale breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. Ooh, I have great ideas now. Oh, that'll probably be a lot of pieces.
Of course.
Okay, I'll put it together.
Yay, memories. So don't forget to subscribe and follow Crafts by 2. You can subscribe just by going to craftsby2.com/subscribe and find out a number of different ways you can follow us. And you can get social with Crafts by 2 by going to craftsby2.com/social and check us out on social media all over the internet.
All over.
Well, not all over, but lots of places.
All over. So, until next time, can or I design a scrapbook page or some other crafty thing? We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Happy Scrapbook Day.
Don't forget the bloopers where George messed me up.
I didn't mess him up. He can't follow direction.
I was doing it as it was given to me.
Nope. Totally not. He just doesn't follow direction.
You didn't give me any directions. You gave me the paper.
Directions.
Hi, and welcome to Crafts by 2.
Sorry.
Are we boring you?
No, I'm still waking up. As I tip back the bottle that you don't need to tip back.
One what?
One spot.
Oh, okay. Didn't sound like that. So we're kind of coming back here. You'll notice these little embellishments. I put them together the way George gave them to me on the paper. And when I went to lay them out, I realized they were facing the wrong way. And if you tried to face them in the right direction, they just looked weird. So
remember, you can print out as many of these as you can print out.